everyone, I wanted to step you through today an idea about using up some scraps. I've got a few ways that I'd like to use up scraps. I don't like to waste them as much as possible, and I had some scraps left over from a Kaszazz team training day that I attended, and the papers were so beautiful I didn't want to waste any of the scraps, so I'm going to have a go at using up all of those scraps. But before I show you what scraps I'm going to work with, I just wanted to take you through the three papers that we got in the new team training day, because they are beautiful papers. So this is the first one, and then you can see there's a cut apart sheet on the back side of that. So I do have some scraps from that paper that I'll show you shortly. This is the second paper, and on the back side of that is some strips, and so I have some of a piece of that left over. And this one is the other paper in the collection, and it has some cut aparts as well. But I didn't cut into that on the team training day, so I'm not going to use this paper, but I thought I would show it to you anyway. And in the theme of using up scraps, I did a video recently on how to get the best out of your cardstock, and so these were the mini cards that I cut off the edge of the 12x12. So I turned a 12x12 into two cards, and this was the strip that was left over at the end. So I did cut that in half and made some mini cards with that. So I'm going to use one of these mini cards to use up some of the scraps that I have. So now I'll step you through some of the scraps that were left over. So this was a strip of paper. So we obviously cut a 12x12 sheet down, so I've got a few of those that I need to use up. So I also have this strip here, which has got this floral pattern on the back, and because I've cut into this sheet, I'm going to count it as a strip of paper that I've got left over. It actually turns out this way, and I love those beautiful roses there, but I'm probably not going to use it in this card today. So the first thing I'm actually going to do, sorry about that noise, I've just got my trimmer down, is I actually want this blue, predominantly blue triangle strip here. So I'm actually going to trim that off the paper, and I was just looking for pieces that kind of match some of these strips. I'm also going to look at how I can trim these strips down to a little bit more of a manageable piece, because we're going to fit them on this card. So I'm not going to use this floral for now, so I'll put that aside. And the other piece that I do want is on this side of the paper. So I'm also going to trim that piece off. And because I actually want some of that strip, but I don't know how much yet, but I want to not cut into too much of anything else. I actually like that brickwork as well, so I'm going to just trim off one strip and use this side as a guide, but I'll actually be using that side. Okay, so what I want to do next is think about what papers match what. So there's actually, because this was the cut apart on the reverse side, there's two different boxes there, so I'm just going to lay those out like that. On this one there was actually three different boxes. This was the side of it, so you can see those there. And these two are exactly the same strip, so I'll do the same thing. Cut that one in half, and that one matches that one. And I could use the reverse side of that one, I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do there. And cut these apart. I can see a bit of a pattern emerging here where I've actually got, okay, so I've got some florals and I've got some more sort of plain papers. So I'm just going to group them together. Now this one will go on this side, and this one will be, you could probably take some of the floral and then you could bring some of that wood over here. So I'm actually going to trim the floral and bring the rest of the wood over here. Now again, these ones could go on either, but I think we're going to leave it here at the moment. So then I've got my card, and what I want to do is actually create a little bit of a banner on here, and I've got some stamps that I'm going to use as well. I think I'm going to keep this piece and use it another time because I really like that pattern, but I also think the camera and the smile kind of don't quite fit into either of these styles. So the first thing I'm going to do is think about how I'm going to create this banner. So I've got some white twine here, and I'm just going to pull some of that out. Okay, and I'm going to create a little banner. So choosing a variety of papers, I'm going to trim a banner into each of these, and a variety of lengths as well. So I don't want them all the same length. And in case you haven't seen me do it before, the way that I actually cut my banners is just by sight, but then what I actually do is cut straight up the middle as far as I want that pennant to go, and then trim from either corner into the middle, and it usually, not always, usually gives you a fairly even banner piece. Okay, so you can see we're starting to get some nice banners going, and because I've got the orange here, I'm going to use that one as well. And you may find with these strips, you may actually be happy to just trim them off a little bit depending on the size. So what I'm going to do is actually create a little bit of a loop at the end, nice and tight. Didn't work. I might actually just leave the loop for one end. Okay, now before I actually stick this down, I'm going to stamp a sentiment on there. So this one is the EXO, and I think because I've got these sort of brighter colours, I might go with that orange. So I've got Venetian orange. I'm just going to put the sentiment down in this bottom corner, like so, and then I'm going to decide in what order my banner pieces go. So I think maybe like that, and I might move it up the card a little bit. So then what I'll do is just put some double-sided tape probably most of the strip along, and then I will just fold that banner piece over so that you're hiding the back there. Yep. The other thing that I would like to do is to just distress the edges a little bit. Now you could use that Venetian orange again. I'm just going to use the Tea Rose, which is one of the new ones, in the archival ink. Just using a blending tool. Okay, so then we've got this one here. Now you might like to run 2 strips along this one so it's nice and secure. Just down either side. So the trick I think with smaller cards is to just keep it as simple as possible, not to make it too complicated, not to put too many embellishments on there, because the more embellishments you include, the busier the card gets, and also it sort of is out of balance a little bit because it is just quite small and won't sit properly. So you can see that's starting to come along there. We'll do another strip here, and I might actually make this one a little bit shorter. Now, one of the things I tend to do is not measure, which is not good, and what you can see here is that washi tape has gone over the end of the bottom of that pennant. So rather than trying to trim it up, what I actually do is cheat and just peel it back after it's gone over the edge. So I'm going to make this pennant a little bit shorter and line it up so it's hiding. Get our T-rose and just distress the edges, almost gives it an ombre effect on that one. And then the last one, I'm actually going to try and make this a little bit long. Probably get away with one strip of the tape, but I'm going to use two just to make sure it doesn't come off. And again, I've gone over slightly, so just peel that, roll that back. Okay, with this one I'm going to just have quite a short fold because I want this to be long. The other way you can do this is to actually punch holes in the pennants and thread it through. So I think as is, that's perhaps a little bit plain. So what I might do is actually go around and distress those edges as well, just with that T-rose. Actually complements that Venetian orange quite nicely. So just go around. Could use a distressed ink if you wanted to, but I just got this new one, so I'm keen to play with it. And then you can do one of two things. So you can sit this down on the card as is, and just stick it down. And then if you like, you can glue the edges of the twine, or you can actually go ahead and mount or pop dot the using the foam squares. You can actually lift those banners off the page a little bit, and I think I'm going to do that. So just one little square on each. I didn't do little very well there. I've cut that too big, so I'll cut it in half and just put one of those on each. Now, the beauty of doing it this way and feeding it over the top is that you can then line it up. So let's move this one, and if you can like scooch that along on the twine. I might trim that up in a moment, and then scooch the next one along. If you've got two pieces of tape on there, you'll obviously need to use a bit more force. Sticking it down like so, and I forgot to ink the edge of this one, so go in and do that before I stick it down. And scooch it along. I think what I'll do, not quite sure how to do the edge here, still trying to decide. I think I might just tie a knot in this edge. If I'd thought about it a bit more, I probably should have given myself a bit more room to be able to make it look the same on either side. I'm just going to, I went to tie a knot and decided no, I'm going to thread it through and have the same effect on the other side, but maybe just a little bit smaller. Okay, now if you turn it this way, you can have it the same there, and you can glue that down if you want to. I think I will, just using glossy accents. I will stick these down. So that they stay in the right spot. And there's a cute little